All right. Thank you for joining us here in United Goalkeeping Alliance, the Goalkeepers podcast. And today we are going to preview the month of November here at the Alliance. And with us today is Coach Brendan. Coach Brendan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, what you do, and yeah, can we get to know you a little bit?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Art. So I guess one unique thing about me is that I kind of coach a team of goalkeepers currently. So I run goalkeeper.com, and that's been a lot of fun to put ourselves at the intersection of goalkeepers and everything. And so we're new, but we're having some fun in the goalkeeping world, and we look forward to our future evolutions. Currently, I'm in the U.S., but then based on all that we do, I kind of bounce around and get to see goalkeeping all over the world, whether it's the UK, the US, or Costa Rica. Those are kind of my three typical bounces, if you will.
So, what does a team of goalkeepers mean? Like if I want to join your team, or like what does goalkeeper teams mean?
Sure. So with goalkeeper.com, in our current iteration, we are a goalkeeper editorial outlet. We have a podcast as well. Additionally, some stuff we're working on is pretty interesting because we actually have a goalkeeper astrophysicist on staff. His name is John Harrison, and he is a Cambridge astronomy PhD. He literally went to the same. The time he was at Cambridge, he was technically under the in the same department as Stephen Hawking. And so we're doing some fun stuff as far as just telling the story of goalkeepers around the world. And then also, I've been on some fun phone calls as we consult with some Champions League clubs and some Premier League clubs in the last couple months and begin to build out those relationships because much like the rest of the sports space in football, goalkeepers have not been examined as closely in the statistical world either. And so that's what we're able to do with John and really look at what we can do with data and helping goalkeepers.
Yeah, data is super important in the sense that you obviously you have to track it, you have to write it down, you have to monitor it, and then you have to apply it. It's not only about knowledge, but it's applied knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing this today, and then I obviously grow or regress, whatever's happening, you got to figure out why and all the stuff that comes behind it. So I'm wondering, when did goalkeeping become important to you or goalkeepers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a goalkeeper my whole life. I was the youngest of four, and by quite a wide margin. So I was just kind of getting beat up from an early age, hung on doorknobs by wedgies by my older brothers, and them just hucking sports balls at me all the time. So naturally, I wasn't that scared of the ball as we got into it. And goalkeeping has been something that has kind of carried me through my life. It brought me through uh, my career so far, and it's been really fun along that journey. Kind of touching back on your previous question, like running the goalkeeper team, like we have 8 goalkeepers on permanent staff at goalkeeper.com, and we also published a goalkeeper children's book this year. And so I was a co-author of that with Sam Hudspeth, and that's super fun. It's a little Dr. Seuss, but just kind of growing up as a goalkeeper, that really we tried to communicate that. So rather than me trying to say it in words right now, the book's free on goalkeeper.com to download digitally. So shameless plug there, but like I do think it is fun for people that have a connection to the sport within the sport.
And what was the name of the book?
It's called The Keeper's Call.
The Keeper's Call, and it's available for free on or at goalkeeper.com. And obviously, this is what we're here for. We're trying to inform and help everybody find their way around the goalkeeping world. So there's certainly the more information we can share, the better. Now, this month in the Alliance, what are you presenting on, and what are you looking forward to?
I'm presenting on set pieces. The overall topic of the month is set pieces, and then I'm excited to work with Tony Vu. We're going to come together and look at the before, during, and after of set pieces, and approach that from a goalkeeper's perspective, because and I think we'll see a stat that'll probably continue to grow as a higher percentage of goals being scored from these set positions, and run of play goals being more difficult, because it kind of comes down to the economics of it. At the highest level of the game, goals from set pieces are cheaper in a sense economically than run of play. And so I imagine that's a trend we'll see at this World Cup as well.
So now, when we talk about set pieces and we talk about the before,
Mhm.
or the setup, at what so there's two different ways to look at this, right? You had to look at the attacking and defending. So we'll start with the defending. So if you're defending a set piece,
Mhm.
at what age should the goalkeeper start taking responsibility for building a wall, guiding his or her defenders around the 18, around the six?
Mhm.
At what age do you think that typically happens, and how much responsibility is on the keeper or maybe a different player on the field?
Sure. I think that question's difficult, because football is formatted differently at different age groups and different areas. I know we're speaking directly to the United States mostly in this podcast. I was just coaching my nephew's team here in the middle of Michigan, and they're U8. Those goalkeepers aren't going to do that typically. I mean, there could be some outliers who want to go and do that. So I would say it's uh, less of a hard and fast rule, and more about meeting your players when they're ready, and allowing them and empowering them to take command of that situation. And with that is something kind of just as simple as we can get it. The other day, I was on a call with a team who actually that day had a Champions League match. One of the things their goalkeeper coach and their goalkeeper analyst wanted to know was, is my goalkeeper standing in the right place? Now, we can say stand in the right place, or you can say positioning. And one of those terms, like they're kind of the same, right? But one of those terms, positioning, comes with inherent complexity as it's communicated to the child, perhaps. So if you just say, "Hey, let's stand in the right place," for kids, I think that the communication and delivery of that is maybe a more important thing than to say a hard and fast rule for when they should take command of that. Because I'm not sure at what age in the states now we graduate up to a larger field. I'm actually not sure at what age in the states field players are allowed to do headers. Like at U8, for example, none of the kids could even chip or drive the ball in the air. And so what we practiced was scooping the ball and more or less foot throwing the ball high in the air, because if you can get the ball, hey, 10 yards in the air, 15 yards in the air, maybe, you have a tactical advantage over the other team. So that's a tough question to say at what age they should start taking command, but I think we can look at possibly a framework to allow them to take command, would be my approach to that. So I hope that non-answer of your question describes a little bit about how I would approach it.
No, that's perfect. I mean, and I think that's what it is, right? Because you're right. It's not a hard direction. It's empowering, the players, and empowering the goalkeeper to do that as they mature and as they get ready for that. Because there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with um, directing people, and communication and guiding, and a lot of it is just also confidence as well, and knowing you're not going to get it right every single time. So there's certainly a lot, like you said, it's just it can get very complex really really quick, especially for those younger ages. Now, during the kick, during chaos, can we
Mhm.
practice chaos in a session? Can we recreate chaos in practice, whether it's through a game or through even through set pieces, right, or
Mhm.
practicing set pieces? Can we recreate that chaos?
I think it starts by communicating the casualness of chaos, because chaos happens on the field when no one really expects it, right? A ball gets knocked down, different rebound, anything can happen there. And being able to accept chaos, and chaos implies the possible mistake as well, and um, allowing failure to be a growth moment rather than it to be a negative moment for the kids there within that chaos, I think will empower them to that, and then giving them simple solutions during that chaos to go and find a way out, to find a solution. What does a solution look like? Like I was coaching on the field. We shared the same field as another team with this U8 team, and the coach was other team's coach was kind of aggressively stayed yelling at his kids, like, "Are you all serious?" And in my head, like I write children's books for kids on the side, and I love hanging out with kids. Um, I'm like, "Hey, man, they're 8. They're serious and they're not serious at the same time. Like, you gotta just meet them where they are." And right, if you, I would say, in your practice design, if you are allowing, right, a drill might be skewed for more of the defense or more for the offense, right? And in that battle and that balance there, you need to find what your directed success is, right? I don't think we can really do anything other than allow our teams to have outlets to channel the chaos to towards what a solution looks like, right? So with that, like a solution for handling the chaos would be, all right, ball not in the middle of the field, right? Not in the dangerous area in front of the goal. You can draw a shape around the goal mouth there, and the majority of the goals are scored within the 6 second 6 area. So um, having the ball not there is a good start.
That makes sense. And it's, again, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about simplifying solutions, simplifying the communication, and making sure that you're getting your point across, and meeting them at their level. So
Mhm.
so as players get older, I mean, and obviously it sounds like with your experience, you're dealing with high level academies and professional clubs. Um, how do we pass that message along to kids that they're not a finished product and you're not going to be a finished product? Because
Mhm.
I think that a lot of times kids, I don't want to say they're not taught humility, right? But a lot of kids don't understand humility in the sense that um, you're gonna have up and downs. You're gonna go through really, really high highs, really, really low lows. And being able to understand that is important to the kids. So when preparing and having that spotlight of a set piece, and having the risk of being the hero or the goat, and knowing, at least at your level, that you're always going to want to work, you're always going to want to learn. How do we put that message across to the kids that think they have it figured out?
Yeah. Um, there's a right, as goalkeepers, well, could have delicate egos in some sense, and so especially as those kids are maturing and they're developing their relationship with their ego, what does that look like? And um, allowing them to make a clear decision each time. All right, am I going? Am I staying? Like that's we can start there and just isolate that one. That's a pretty strong one there, and we don't want to make them overthink it, right? I have some colloquies and stuff I can pull in from some of the books I've written that, like, right, how many times can you think about a thought before it becomes fried like a tater thought? Like you want it to just become very quick and go, but then at the same time, the finished product aspect of it, a player is never going to be the same player twice. You can kind of steal from an old saying here, right? Like the same person is never going to cross the same river twice, because neither the person nor the river is the same. And so as goalkeepers, there's an element of, like, we have to be passive in the sense where we cannot create an opportunity for us to shine. We need to be actively patient for it. And so that actively patient methodology, or not methodology, but just the thought pattern there, is something that I think is important for players to have, and knowing that the concept of a finished product is an external results driven measuring stick of success, rather than just, hey, football is beautiful, and the game of goalkeeping within the beautiful game of football is beautiful in itself. And so it's I would then challenge that and say, at what age are we introducing these external measuring sticks to children? Like that should be an interesting one, because for a kid to go out there and just have the joy of it versus a kid to go out there at U11, U12 and say, all right, I've got to be the best. I've got to go do it for these reasons, to go get a scholarship or to make the team or to go pro. Um, I think we're missing the point a little bit there. Like, football is an amazing thing in itself, and unfortunately, it's only after some of us old farts go and play and experience this, and maybe our bodies hurt, that we realize this. But I think that message should be given to the younger emerging players sooner.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that, and that's kind of why I asked the question, right? I wanted to kind of get a feel for how early we can teach those things to children, and it sounds like we can teach that pretty early on. And again, it's not about overcomplicating any, the game. It's simply about teaching them, again, that patience piece. Every outcome doesn't have to be a performance outcome. It doesn't have to be a measurement, right? Every single thing doesn't have to have something that is, you don't have to get something out of everything. A lot of times the process is what you're getting out of um, the result. So now when we talk about this part, right, and this is why we're crossing this bridge, transition, right? So if we're talking about set pieces, but you're the goalkeeper on the other side, a lot of times it's kind of late. We like our keepers to push up and high, thinking or hoping that we're either going to score or maybe press or whatever. But then the defense gets the ball. The opposing team gets the ball. They're on a counter. They start the transition. What do we do?
At that point, what do we do when the transition starts? That's the
Yes.
question, correct?
Mhm.
All right. Ensure you can't be beat, right? Like if you look at the threats as far as the most from highest level of threat down, can you get beat right away? So say like the free kick happens, your player hits the first man and that pops out somewhere around midfield. You best be hustling back, turn your hips, sprint back while keeping your eyes on the ball, to hope that you cannot get beat on the first one. Secondly, let's make sure that none of our defenders are overcommitting ourselves to put us in a worse situation. Let's keep some defenders coming back towards the goal, most likely, so unless they have an opportunity to easily clear or win the ball up front. But let's give ourselves and the rest of our team time to come back and help us, and hope that our team can provide that back pressure and that we can normalize the numbers in front of our goal by then. But it's just like you have to deal with the threats as they come, as far as, can I get beat? Can they pass it to somebody who can beat me? And then onwards from there. And then if you find yourself in a really bad situation, this happened to me one time where it was actually my debut game when I was playing in Denmark. We lost the ball, and I had one defender on a player wide on the right side, and they had three people in the box, undefended entirely. The guy puts his head down to cross it, and it was pouring rain. The goal mouth was pretty squashy, and so he puts his head down. Like I'm holding deep on my line. He puts his head down to cross it. I start cheating out because I know he's just gonna try to pass it to these three guys in the box. Because it's so wet, he scuffs the ball and just pings it low at my near post. And I had been cheating out, and now I can't get back to my near post. Like, transitions are always gonna be part of the game. And then I think in those transitions we can encourage some gambling sometimes, but know that sometimes your gambles are going to bite you, right? Oliver Kahn used to gamble hard on these transition moments and show players the near post on a one-on-one if they're coming at an angle, and then he'd step hard to it. So encouraging a little bit of mindful gambling, if it breaks down that far, could be an interesting side as well. But it's again
Yeah.
like the game within the game.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I can't wait for you and Tony Wu to present. And I think, I mean, again, these are all just small little samples of what we're going to be discussing in depth. And as Coach Brendan said earlier, there's some data and some numbers and some different information that backs up all these different ideas within set pieces and the before, the during, and the after. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm sure your presentation will be great. Now, so two things. So your website is goalkeeper.com.
That's correct. Yep.
And where can we, and if we wanted to reach out to you, where can we find you?
If you wanted to reach out to me personally, my email is pretty simple. It's just my first name, Brendan. That's Brendan. And that's Brendan at goalkeeper.com.
Perfect. All right, Coach Brendan, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in November.
All right. Thanks, Art.